Hello, let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about the tiger and crane form. Let's get started. So, this whole section here. And I'm going to play a clip here of the old masters practicing this form. And the reason I want you guys to look at this is to see it and look at what they're not doing. So, and I've seen a few people not do this, but many times, if not most times, there is minimal waist movement, and the circles are so big. So we start off here with a Kamehameha. You come down, strike. So many times I see a big wah, and that is so unnecessary. And even like scratch this move outside, like I might as well explain it. So yes, this move to me works as a push. My Sifu explained it in a way that sounds good in a, like, conceptually, but I personally would never recommend anybody try this technique or put it in their, like, self-defense arsenal, if you will. Here, how this was explained to me was that one hand either aims for the face or one hand aims for the groin. And you have to decide what your target is. So if I'm aiming for the groin, I might reach for the face first or outreach further on that regard, because if I'm reaching for the face, there's a higher probability that somebody's going to lean back, and that lean back is going to thrust their hips forward, which is going to make this strike or grab or however you want to do it a lot easier or a lot more likely. Or you can flip that script. If I want to hit up, I'll fake down so that their hips jut back, their head comes forward, and I can hit this way. Now, as it is, it's a bad idea because this is just an awkward position to be in. The concept, I think, works pretty well, and it's not something so dissimilar from what boxers will do from time to time, right? So if I fake a low hook, right, the concept is, well, I don't even have to fake the hook. If I just do a hook to somebody's body, they drop their arm down, that opens their face, so I can come up. So faking low to go high or faking high to go low. It's conceptual. The other thing is that sometimes people just do it like this, and that's just a push. You know, someone's getting too close, you know, stranger danger, push. I mean, you could also push this way. There's a million different ways to push somebody, so there's not worth going too much into that. Moving forward, back to this circle here. So that circle is not bad, but when you do such a big circle, it makes it too slow and it takes too much time. And it's just like, it doesn't help you get from point A to point B, right? Because what you're trying to do is redirect, go around, and you can do it like I just did. You know, if I need to go around, I can just do a very small circle this way, or if I need to redirect and then something else is coming, right? And yes, in the form it's Tiger Claw. You don't have to commit to the grab. So if I'm here, I don't even have to do the circle. I can just come straight this way, right? Block, strike. And take it from there. Block, strike. And watch something that I've done in other forms and other movements that I try to keep consistent with certain techniques when applicable, right? Wah, 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 wah. I'm blocking and moving my head out of the way. When I practice it in the form, I do the same thing. Wah, wah. So my head was here, now it's here, and this is where I want to jump back into what I was saying about those masters videos. The waist movement. Again, that waist movement is paramount to developing and delivering a quality amount of power. You know, and if we're traditional martial artists, we've all done this, right? I challenge you to go up to the heavy bag, square up in your horse stance, and start throwing hands. it's good training. It's beautiful training exercise, but it's not going to deliver the same power as if you're just here and throw this way, right? So, turn. Give it some more. Increase the quality of your power by practicing that way. And the reason it's so important that we do it in the form and outside of the form is because this is what we drill, right? This is what we practice. My body recognizes it. My body recognizes it as second nature. So when someone comes in and they throw, and I need to hit one of these, it comes out in a way that's going to maximize my safety and my power, right? Because the first thing that happens the first thing that I notice is that my head consistently moves out the way. I'm not even thinking about it. Then the waist movement. So think about that. Is it better to practice in this same box where I'm not building quality power, where I'm not maximizing my own safety as a martial artist? It's not. We are defending ourselves from incoming threats, be it in a philosophical sense or be it in a literal sense. So we need to maximize that. And maximizing our power delivery is going to help us to incapacitate our target faster. Faster. So keep that in mind with what you're practicing. Now let's move on. So we have this movement here and then this one. Same thing applies in terms of waist movement. And to some extent head movement, right? Because if I'm here, I'm not just going to stay here, right? I'm here, I might move out the way and then come in with this one. But my waist is still turning. And the concept is the same, right? I'm redirecting, or I'm moving out the way and grabbing something, pulling it in, and then striking. And you don't have to like grab a punch or anything too, right? If you want to rush in, grab somebody's like arm and pull them into the strike, that works too. It's a little bit risky, I think, especially when you're considering kicks and stuff. But there's a lot more options than, oh, somebody punches, I'm going to grab their punch. It's not as rigid in that regard. Now, most people practice it this way. I tend to do it this way. And that is a matter of preference. This works just as well because you have that strike. You have the claw. This too, because you have a strike, but it's here. And you're not going to grab and like choke. You don't have to do that. But it gives you that option, I think, and that hand around the throat is very uncomfortable. And it'll get people to react a certain type of way that could work to your benefit. I prefer to look at it like a strike. And if I am going to choke, I'd rather have it small, which is why it's like this and not like a big crazy looking tiger claw. Because I'm grabbing here. And at that point, squeeze. And I was told that you could rip that out. I'm not going to be able to say that you can or can't because I've never done it, and I don't like to claim to be able to do things I've never done. Let's take a look briefly at the footwork, right? It is fast, and that is not typical when you think of Tiger, right? Tiger is power and heavy and strong. So why is this footwork so light and fast? Balance, in that we're trying to combine Tiger and Crane in that regard. So Tiger is power, strength, tenacity, ferocity, but that needs to be balanced with some speed, with some grace. And then the other thing that some people have argued is that you're training to fight multiple people. Now, personally, I don't think doing the same technique in a couple of angles is a good way to train to fight multiple people, especially given that it's literally the same thing in every corner with, like a little extra block on one corner specifically. And yeah, I'm not trying to like talk bad about the form. I think it's a great form. It's just that theory of, oh, this is teaching me to fight multiple people is a little bit iffy. But it does teach you to keep moving, I think, and that is a good attribute to have if you're being assaulted by multiple people. And it is teaching you to be conscientious of all your angles. One thing, though, that I do see a lot of is when we're striking over here, we're moving this way mindlessly. And I'm sure you'll see it in my videos from time to time where I'll say something but not do it. That's because I'm still a work in progress. And I saw this in this clip here specifically, where I just moved straight into it. That is not wrong. That is the traditional way, at least per what I've seen and what I've been taught by my first teacher. But there's a better way. So here's an idea that you can choose to expand upon or not. So we're here. When we move on to this next one, block first, because we don't know if something isn't coming. So we don't want to just go right into it and block at the same time. So we're here. We can scoot forward a little bit, move out the way, look, then come around and strike. So there's a lot of room for modification on that front. I do think that the more we look into these things, the more likely we are to use them. And the more we question them, the more we can make changes to better. That's a bulk of the tiger section. And the same thing applies on those last little jumps. You know, those jumps are, I think, more of an exercise than anything. I don't really see a use for them as is. There is actually a decent application for that movement, but it's the jump aside. So you're coming at a side from a front stance this way. That's just a takedown, right? You're grabbing somebody and pushing them over your leg. There's nothing too complex about how to use that. It kind of is how it is. Okay, so closing thoughts on the tiger section. It is a really good section for concept building more than anything else, I think. And I do think the applications for these movements are pretty straightforward. They're not overly complex. We're going to close off the tiger section with that. And before we move on to anything, I want to give you a little key idea when it comes to looking at your forms, because a lot of times people have so many questions about how to perform the movements. Ask a different question. Don't ask how, ask why. Why are we performing these movements this way? What is the purpose? And we don't get that from a how. How is a performance question, right? It's at this angle, at a 45 with a hand this way, and you're flexing your wrist and you're striking upward. Sure, that's important to an extent, but why are we at that angle? Why is my wrist flexed back? It's uncomfortable. Why would I want to be uncomfortable, right? So ask yourself why, and try to answer those questions for yourself. Then try and test it out, right? Do some light sparring, test these techniques out. Did it work? Did it not work? Why did it work? Why didn't it work? And take a look at the key ideas, right? Maybe I'm trying too hard to use it like it is in the form. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more abstract, right? Like this whole tiger section, right? I can just cover, sidestep, turn, and strike this way. There's a whole bunch of different ways to use all of these techniques. But we're never going to be able to really see the full breadth of the function of any of these moves if we don't test them. Because the forms, like I've previously stated, are ideas. They're not concrete ways of practicing. They're not even concrete ways of using things. So take the idea and run with it. If there's a technique you don't like, screw it. Ignore that technique and find another one. That's why forms are so great, because there's so much content and you can pick and choose. Hey, I like this, I like this. This feels good. I feel like I could actually use this. This, not so much. So I like this move, right? It's pretty cool. I like the way it feels. It looks like something I can use. But why are we doing it at this angle? Why is my hand in this position? Where should my head be? And then analyze. A form is useless if we don't analyze it, because then we're just dancing, really. We're just doing choreographed movement. Analyze and ask why. Hello, humans of the internet. So I had full intentions of recording a video about the whole tiger and crane form. I ended up with like 53 minutes worth of content, so this might end up being like a 2-3-parter. This first video was entirely about the tiger section. That was a last minute decision. I had recorded stuff about the intro and the crane section, a little bit more about the philosophy of the system, all that stuff. Well, philosophy of the pairing of tiger and crane. But it's a lot, and I don't feel like putting out a 53-minute video that nobody's gonna watch. So we got this one, and stay tuned for more stuff. I know I said I was going to stop about the Hung Gar stuff, but can't stop a man for loving what he's passionate about and wanting to share that with the world, so let's roll with it. Peace out. Y'all take care. I hope y'all had a happy Thanksgiving. See y'all next week.